Hi, it's me, Crystal, and I posted 3 videos in a row, so I'm doing so well right now. And if you're wondering, do I have other shirts that aren't black? Of course I do. So I wanted to do a writing update because I haven't done one. I think since October. I don't know when is the last writing specific related video that I made, but let's just say it was October because I'm not gonna check. So last October, I had just sent out queries for Artificial, which is like a sci-fi suspense with horror overlay book that I wrote last year. And my plans were, after a short mental break and palette cleanser, to work on this story I was calling My Botanist Project, which was like a weird suspense book with like some mad science and horror elements. And I really liked the idea and I liked the characters. But every time I tried to work on that book, it felt forced. And I do not like to force myself to write things. I have a lot of ideas. There are other things I can write. I don't need to get on a misery train. And so when I feel that way, I'm like, let's just work on something else. It really doesn't matter what the problem is. It could be a plot issue, could be a character issue. I think I talked about this before, but years ago, one of my writing friends was telling me how she had gone to a conference and like writers are like, you know, people write for different reasons. Some people write because they want to make commentary on society. Some people write because they have a theme they want to explore. They want to get these two people together. And then people like me, we write because we want to feel a certain way. And it's kind of hard to articulate. So I've been calling it beautiful darkness for some time. And it could be any kind of beautiful darkness. It could be beautiful, you know, bloody darkness. It could be beautiful, sexy darkness. It could be what I want right now, which is just kind of a beautiful, melancholic, bloody darkness. And when that's kind of what I want, that's kind of like the taste that I have for writing, it's like nothing will do. No story will do. I have to have this flavor. And so, but when it comes to the Botanist Project, there's a couple of problems, but I just wasn't getting attached to the story. So I set it aside, and I'll just kind of quickly go over because I changed my mind. I kept changing my mind, which is just part of the process at this point. I've kind of, unfortunately, gotten used to it. So like every couple of weeks, I would just change my mind. And I went from the Botanist Project to this paranormal project called Pinewood Falls. And the last time I talked about writing, I was talking about how like I didn't want to write paranormal anymore, and I didn't really go into detail about why. And I don't think I really even understood why. I have come to the realization that I think it was just like I spent several years querying paranormal books and having no luck and like getting nowhere. And honestly, I was just traumatized from that. And so whenever I thought about writing paranormal, I would feel like this hysteria rising up in me. And it's like, if you continue to write paranormal, you're never going to get published. You need to write something else. You need to write something else. Anything, just write something else. And so I was kind of running away from it because, first of all, I live in Tennessee and I'm used to it, okay? I'm used to this Bible Belt, but like some people are kind of rude when you tell them that you write paranormal. They think that your story has demons attached to it. And it's like, will you calm down? And so I think there was just like baggage that I didn't realize I was carrying around. And so I thought I could get rid of it by writing something else. And it turns out that your baggage follows you everywhere you go. So when I realized that I wasn't going to be able to, when I realized I didn't want to write the Botanist Project, I had texted my sister one day. I'm like, just pick something for me to write, not Discord. So if you saw my History Aquarium video, Discord is the first book I got requests from on Agents. It's this YA paranormal book that is the most miserable writing experience I've ever had in my life. To the point where if anybody brought it up, like the claws came out, I'm like, I hate this book. It's dead to me, okay? And And I went through a lot with that book. Like, I can make a whole video just on everything I went through with that book. But long story short, I had an idea for the book, and then I was like, I was trying to write YA. Like, I wrote young adult books when I was a teenager and like in my early 20s, because that's what I was comfortable with. But like around 22, 23, I just didn't write YA, just like naturally. It just wasn't, I just didn't have a passion for it. And so for reasons that were not good reasons, I decided to try to write YA on purpose, because there were so many YA agents, and that was like, the bigger the pool, the better the chance, right? So how hard is it to write YA books on purpose? Not that difficult unless you freaking hate it like I did, and I was just miserable. So after a couple of years, I stopped and went back to whatever I was doing before, which is just people in their 20s basically getting into trouble. So so I got a YA version of Discord. I wrote a couple of chapters, and then I was like, I don't know, I'm not used to writing YA. Every time I try to write it, I just feel like it's inappropriate. I feel like I don't read enough YA. I don't know what I'm doing. So I got some feedback from this woman who I really like and really respect. But she comes back and she's like, the book is too dark for YA, and you can't write the book this way. And I was like, okie dokie. So I changed it, and I made all these changes, and I constricted what I wanted to do so much that it exploded all over me. So so anyway, I text my sister, I'm like, pick a project for me to write, not Discord, and she picks the story that I call Pinewood Falls, which is the paranormal book. And the likelihood that a random book that my sister picks for me to write, it's going to be paranormal. That's most of my ideas. That's mostly what I have spent most of my writing life doing. Supernatural, horror, and paranormal. It's where I live. It's my thing. So I was like, okay, whatever. I'm like, if it doesn't work out, then maybe it'll help me, find what I really want to write, because I have a lot of ideas. Sometimes they crowd me and it's hard to make a decision. So I start working on Pinewood Falls, and oh my gosh, it feels so much easier. Like when I was previously working on that story, like 2017, 2018, when I was really burned out from like self-publishing and I was imploding and crashing, I was trying to work on this book, and everything I wrote during this time period, I just thought it sucked. I was like, oh, everything sucks. It makes no sense. It sucks. It's terrible. Everything's terrible. So I picked this book up, and I'm reading over what I have, and I was like, oh my gosh, the writing is so good. I was surprised, But I just thought everything I wrote during that time period was trash, and it was just my head, right? It was just my brain that was trashed. So, the thing is, though, it's not that beautiful, melancholic, bloody darkness that I have a craving for right now. And so while I found the story, I added some chapters, it was very easy to write. It felt really good. It felt like coming home again after being away for so long. And I was like, oh, this is what it feels like to be comfortable. Because it has been a while since I was comfortable and something was easy to write, So it felt really good, but it wasn't giving me what I wanted. So I was like, that's okay. I'll write something else. So I go through a handful of other stories. I go through this paranormal, or maybe supernatural horror. I don't know. I'm really bad at labeling my stuff sometimes, but I go through, let's just say, this paranormal story that I call my chaos story. And I had this antagonist keep popping up in all these other ideas. So the antagonist in that chaos story was somebody different. But when I picked it back up, this guy pops up, this antagonist pops up, and he's like, I can do this. And I was like, actually, you can do this, and it might actually be really fun. But I don't want to write this book right now. So then I pick another idea, and he showed up in Pinewood Falls. He shows up in Chaos. He shows up in this story called Discarded. He showed up in Blackbird Manor. And all of these stories were stories that had a different antagonist. And now all of a sudden this guy is like, no, I can do this. And I was like, why do you keep following me everywhere I go? So I had two stories that he didn't follow me into. One is this book called Sparrow that's a rewrite of another book, but it's also like a redo because I had like a sequel idea, but then I realized I didn't need everything that was in book one and I can just merge book one and book two. And so I call it Sparrow, and it's a paranormal book. And he didn't follow me into that one, and he didn't follow me into this weird horror that I'm just calling Mirror right now. And so I was like, okay, I don't want to write Sparrow right now. There are a lot of moving parts. I have dual timelines and like I have all this stuff going on. And I was like, look, I'm not doing that well. Okay. So I need something that's a little bit easier on me right now. And so I set that aside, and then I was going to write Discarded. But I changed the main character's personality because I had like a confidence issue with her being so like depressed. And I was like, that's okay, I can make her happier. It'll be fine. No, it wasn't fine. I get into that story, and while it was really easy to write because I'm very comfortable writing paranormal books, I wasn't connecting to the story and it wasn't giving me what I want. I have since decided to change the story and go back to what I originally wanted to do and just let her be a basket case. But right now I'm focused on something else, which I'll get to in a minute, or a couple of minutes. And so I started working on Discarded. I think I wrote like 4 or 5 chapters, and I was like, yeah, this is not giving me what I want. It's part of it feels right and part of it does not feel right at all. So I set that aside and I start working on Mirror. And I don't know if this is the exact order I was working on things. I kept flip-flopping and changing my mind and sometimes running back to something else. So, but anyway, the last thing I was working on is this weird horror that I call Mirror. And I wrote 3 chapters and I was having the time of my life. I was like, oh, this is so excellent. And I have like, I just love my main character. I love my MC in that book. And then I was like, well, if I add a second point of view, then I can have a more traditionally happy ending instead of this subjective one. And as soon as I did that, I didn't want to write the book anymore. And I have also since, I'm like, decided, no, we're just going to stick with the one point of view. So when I circle back to it, because I still really want to write it, I'm going to just keep the one point of view and just keep doing what I was going to do. But also I want that story to sit a little bit longer because I don't quite know how I'm going to pull it off. So, but creativity feeds off of itself. So I'm like, while I'm working on this other book, we'll build up some energy for this other one. But so I set Mirror aside and I'm just like miserable. I don't have anything to work on. I don't know what to do. And I'm just like, whatever. So I'm watching some movies and I hear this song in the movie. It's not relevant to anything. I mean, it's relevant, but it's not relevant. So I hear the song in a movie and I Shazam it. And I was like, oh, I love that song. And so then I was like, wait, there's some other songs that I want to listen to that I've been meaning to listen to for like a month now. And one of the songs is from the Arcadia album by Alison Krauss, which I think recently came out, Alison Krauss and Union Station. And I've been wanting to like listen to the songs and see if I like them and then pick up the album. And so while I'm listening to some of these songs that I Shazammed, that I've been meaning to go and listen to and download, I go and I listen to this Alison Krauss album and I hear the first song. I don't quite remember the name of it. I think it's like The End of the World or something like that, but it's the first song on the Arcadia album and I'm listening to it and it sounds so like beautiful and melancholic and smoky. And I'm like, this is a perfect song for my main character to sing in a lounge, right? And I was thinking about it, like automatically I had this hybrid in my head, the main character in Discord and the main character in this paranormal book called By Any Other Name that I tried to write during my burnout phase. And it just was not working. It just was not working. It never felt right. And I knew what I was trying to do, but I couldn't do it. And the main character is like very unstable. And, you know, she kills people. And I'm just like, I went back and forth between people going to hate this and, oh, I love this so much. And so every single opening chapter, I couldn't get it to feel right. And so I just gave up because I was burned out. I couldn't focus. I couldn't think anyway. And I wasn't planning on working on that book. And then I just said that Discord was dead to me. So, like, I don't know why this happened, but there's threads. Like, what I originally wanted to do for Discord before I turned it into a YA book, and then I constricted it until I hated it. I took those threads of that original idea that I got for Discord, and I took them and I weaved them together with By Any Other Name. And all of a sudden, I just had this story. And I was like, I've had By Any Other Name in my head for some time. But there were always like little things that were just like not gelling. And part of it could have been burnout. Part of it could have been I just didn't have the right angle on it. So I'm listening to the song. And I just pull out my computer and I start writing. And I start writing and I write for like 5-6 hours. I write 6,000 words. And I don't touch the story again for 2 weeks. And part of it was like, the story's paranormal. I just said I was having a crisis about writing paranormal. And I was like, just write it. You know, like, you want to write it, just write it. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to write it. I can't not write it at this point. It's pulling at me. It's sucked me in. I just want to soak in it. And so, but one of the things I like to do when I'm writing is sometimes, especially if I have like this kind of fever session where I'm just like in the zone, I like to go back and see what I wrote and, like, you know, maybe clarify some things, you know, fix some things, like little things, you know, expand some things, finalize some world building details, stuff like that. So I only had like a little under 6,000 words. So I'm like, it's not that many words. Like, it's not going to take that long. But I was like, yeah, I also just kind of want to move on. And so I fought with myself for like a week on whether or not I was going to read over what I have or just move on. And then I'm doing the dishes one night as one does. And I'm listening to the Alison Krauss song and the Alison Krauss album in general because I'm obsessed with it. And I hear that song and I'm like, oh, I can't stand it. So I open the story, I read over what I have, I make those changes that I already made notes on, and I just keep going, and I write for like another like 5 hours. And now I have a little under 10,000 words. And I don't know, it's just, I don't know how things happen sometimes. Like, I never would have picked that, you know? I never would have picked By Another Name. Like, I remember, like, the end of 2024 when I was just, like, trying to find something. I was just making a list of everything that I felt like was stuck to some degree. And I put By Another Name on the list of things that were stuck. And I was like, well, maybe if I write Discarded and I write, you know, this other story, maybe this other story, and those stories work, then maybe I'll have some confidence and I can write By Any Other Name. Because I think the main character, I was always kind of scared to just like let her be herself. But right now I just don't care. I'm like, I just want to write. I want to write this book. I love her. So, that's kind of what happened. It's just listening to some music and getting the right song at the right time and just having the idea, those two ideas just kind of gel themselves together. So I ended up making 2 playlists because I like to make playlists sometimes for fun and brainstorm and, you know, just soak in the energy of the story. And so I have 2 playlists. I'm calling it Discord Remixed because I think it's because I don't want to call it by any other name because I don't want any of that previous energy to infiltrate the story. I even changed I didn't change the antagonist's name. He's had the same name for some time, but I changed everybody else's name. in both stories. I didn't keep anybody's name. Everybody got new names because I'm like, new names, new energy, new year, okay? And yeah, I didn't plan it. It just happened. It just kind of happened that way. But I think there's something, I don't know, nice about that. I just think it's nice. I just think it's beautiful. So yeah, they just kind of wove themselves together. And as of the filming this video, I have 12,000 words, which is comprised of like 2 smaller sessions and 2 longer sessions. And I recently had gone back and did some little editing and adding some details to the second long writing session. So I'm doing that now. And yeah, I feel so much better. And so that's kind of what inspired, me making some videos, because I'm like, yeah, I feel better. I have energy. I have some mental energy, and I am not miserable right now. So good time to film. But anyway, so before I finish talking about this, I do want to talk about what happened with the querying of artificial. Obviously, if I was so freaking miserable, it did not go amazing. So I got a couple of requests, which is great. And one agent didn't give me feedback, and the other one sent me a pretty long email. And so I want to preface the rest of this story by saying that I actually really like this agent. She's very smart. She has a very good eye for stuff. I don't 100% agree with what she said, but I do mostly agree with what she said. And I know that agents don't send long emails to people who they don't feel like are worth their time. So I appreciate her sending me the email. I appreciate her feedback and everything she said. That doesn't mean that it was easy to digest, though. So she sends me this email. She was very nice about it, and I'm gonna say, like, I've gotten enough feedback from agents. Most of them are not very good at explaining why they don't like something, which is probably why sometimes they send form rejections on fulls, because they really just don't know what to say. It's not nice on my end, because I'm like, you really don't have anything to say, but I also know sometimes they're just not good at articulating it, and it's easier for them to just say, this didn't grab me, this isn't up my alley, this is what I want, this isn't for me, whatever. And I get that, but it still sucks on my end. So this agent was really, really nice in her feedback. She worded very nicely. She even at one point said, I hope I'm not overstepping, but maybe you should consider writing dark romance. Which, I have like that one paranormal romance books I tried to write, but it also didn't work out for me. It didn't work well for me. I like romance elements in my books though. So, I'm like, it's not super off base, It's not like she knows, everything that I've written or anything. So, but she worded this very nicely, but basically what I heard was, you suck at writing suspense. You need to write something else. And at first, like, yeah, I was like, that is hard to read. But also, I was like, try to keep an open mind, right? I'm like, does she have a point? And I was like, I kind of think she does have a point. I had somebody say to me about a year ago, and it was just very casual, but it's one of those things that's like, it was simple, but it had like an impact, like it was what I needed to hear at the time. And I didn't know I needed to hear it. And so he'd asked me how my writing was going. And I was like, oh, it's not going well. Like I wrote this suspense book and it burned me out. Like, and I'm like, I'm a mess, And he was like, yeah, it makes sense. Like your heart wasn't in it. And I was like, it never even occurred to me that that I've not been that connected to stuff that I've written over the years. I have several things that I have finished even. I think I finished, I think on my list I have like 26. I could count another one because I literally quit in the epilogue. So like technically it's done, but technically it's not done, so I don't really count it. So I have 26 confirmed finished books, separate books, not even like rewrites or anything. And like all of them, but like 3 are supernatural, horror, paranormal. And I have several stories in there that I actively dislike, like Discord. And some of the stories I wrote around that same time when I was trying to write YA, and I have, you know, things that I like, but I don't love. And I have very few stories that like I love so much that they just like, they got all the way under my skin, and I was just so in love with them. I couldn't stand it. And I was looking at all this stuff and I was thinking, and I'm like, I think that agent has a point, you know? I'm like, she may not know exactly what the problem is because she doesn't know me like that, but she can probably see something in the books that because she's read 2 of my books actually. She could probably see something in the books that she's read, and she may not know what exactly it is, but I might know what it is. Do you know what I mean? And so I'm like, I'm not writing paranormal because I don't see a path to publication with paranormal, even though in the last video when I was talking about writing, I said, you know, paranormal isn't out of favor right now. And I'm like, I could probably get a paranormal book picked up right now if it was something somebody wanted, but I don't actually believe that for myself. I think somebody else could get a paranormal book picked up. I don't believe I can get a paranormal book picked up. So I'm like, if you go back to writing paranormal, you're basically saying that you quit, that you give up on this whole publication dream. And I didn't want to give up. But I've gotten to the point, and sometimes misery will do this for you. I got to the point where I don't care anymore. I just want to write again because I feel so much better when I write. So I've decided that I want to write this book, and I'm calling this book, I don't know if I gave a title. The project I'm currently working on that I have 12,000 words on, I'm calling it Discord Remixed. And I don't know why. I think because I liked the title Discord, but I don't want to call it by any other name, even though I think it has more by any other name elements than Discord elements, because I don't want any of that like bad energy to come over from all of those previous attempts at by any other name. And so this way I feel like I have like a clean palette. And I actually have 2 playlists too, because I had an old Discord playlist like on an old Clickwheel iPod, because I've since deleted it from my computer. And I also have an old playlist for by any other name. And so I have 2 playlists. I have a Discord remix playlist, and I have a Discord by any other name playlist. And, you know, they just help me soak in the energy of the story, help me brainstorm. They make me happy. Really obsessed with that Alison Krauss Union Station album right now. And so I have a few songs from that on there. And yeah, I'm like, just if I feel better writing paranormal, then I'm just gonna write paranormal, and I'm not gonna worry about querying or anything. I'm like, I just want to write again, and if one day I have the mental bandwidth to send some more queries out, I'll think about it. But right now, I just want to write again. I miss enjoying what I'm working on, being in love with it, and soaking in it, you know? So that's what's been going on with my writing. Obviously rejections are difficult, and I just always feel like a failure. I just do. So, but I'm okay now. And I have something to work on that I want to work on. And yeah, I'm just gonna call it Discord Remixed right now because I really like that. And I'm having having a good time. And it is a lot. It feels a lot better, you know? Like, I realized, and I think I said this to one of my writing friends a couple weeks ago, but I was like, I realized that it's going to take some effort to write a book, no matter what it is. But the difference is, it's like, do I feel like the effort is worth it? And so with Discord Remix, so far, I'm like, yes, I'm not even thinking about it. I just want to write the book. So I feel like that might be a good way for me to filter stuff when I have too many ideas ask for my attention at one time. I'm like, which one of these is worth it right now? And so anyway, so that's what's going on. I'm working on a paranormal book called Discord Remixed that's a merge of some old Discord threads that I never thought I'd see again, that I never thought I'd be in the mood for again, and by any other name, which I also never thought I'd be in the mood for again. But I guess, again, I just got to the point where I was like, I don't care. She's miserable. I love her. I want to write this book. And yeah. So that's the writing update, and I've talked long enough. So that's everything that's been going on. Me jumbling through a bunch of projects, me recovering from querying, me recovering from rejections, and me deciding that I'm going to write because I want to write, and nothing else matters right now. I just want to enjoy my life and writing stuff. Okay, so I don't know when I'm going to post another video because I'm out of the habit. But if I have something I want to say, I'll say something. I am probably going to do like a third quarter video, so I probably won't be that long before my next video. So towards the end of June, I'll probably do like a second quarter wrap up, third quarter goals video. And we'll see if I have something to say, if I feel like saying anything in the interim. But that is all for this video. So I'm gonna go, and I will see you guys later.